and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of July 26th.
It's only Tuesday and we can't quite remember.
I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Terry and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we finished the 4th season of Veronica Mars and all of the Veronica Mars that we are planning to consume.
And went out with a bang.
Yes. And then we also we also continued with the crafty competition show, Making It.
Yes.
So this week on Making It, it was another, what they like to call mega craft, where they had a cute little porch scene that they had to, decorate. They had to, have a house number, a welcome mat, a flag, and seating for 2, which proved to be the downfall of Blake, the baseball player, whose cloud was very cool, but not really functional. So that
the cloud goes down. It happens.
I know.
So
it did kind of make it easy to say who was going home, because his was the only one that had a little hiccup in the execution,
I guess.
So
otherwise cool, though. The door was cool, although it looked like one of those cars that has fancy opening doors.
Yes.
It seemed like they would probably be more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah. And also he made a welcome mat out of like cords, and welcome mat was another requirement, and it was made out of like old cables and cords and things. And first of all, it was like it had huge holes in it. Like it wasn't woven tightly at all. And also like you could trip on it because it had like plugs and, it was a very good idea.
Cool, placemats. Maybe use that for placemats.
Yeah. And cut off the chunks at the end of the wires. So, there was some cool stuff, I thought, and I liked the idea of, and they usually do this, but everyone has to do these elements, so then you can really compare, how did this welcome mat compare to that welcome mat, or how did they interpret seating, which was, there were lots of different interpretations, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was. I liked all the different variations. It was fun to see. Mm-hmm. And then they had to make a housewarming gift for the person to their right at the last minute. Procrasti-craft.
Right.
Do you feel like they're floundering a little bit this season?
Yeah.
I think they're short on ideas for what people should do and just leaning on Amy and Nick without really giving them material for it. Mm-hmm. So,
right.
It's just, I've said this before, show people making things. They're not going to do it. But it just, this one particularly, it's the whole episode's one craft. But it turned out not to be, but still.
Right. Well, and also like that.
Seems like they're running out of ideas, which is sad.
That crazy, origami door that Blake made, the one who had to go home. Show us how on earth you do something like that.
We shouldn't be seeing that just once,
Right.
When he's doing it. It just seems like such a missed opportunity to really showcase.
Right.
Making things.
Yes.
But, as always, an enjoyable hour of television. Or maybe an enjoyable 35 minutes of television stretched
out into an hour. Yes.
But everybody seems happy, in a good mood, helping each other out. That's always enjoyable.
Yes.
And fun to see what they come up with. But my goodness, I think Amy and Nick probably need a nap when filming is over from all the heavy lifting they've been having to do.
Right. They have to bring quite a lot of energy to it.
Oh, goodness. I hope they're being paid well. Gary, the
woodworker.
Contestant who is the woodworker with the huge bushy beard,
yes,
who was eliminated last week, responded to us on Twitter. Hi there, if you're listening, again, unlikely as that may be. Thank you. Thank you for listening, Gary. We're sorry you weren't on this week.
Yeah, we would like to see more of Gary.
Yeah, he did mention that they filmed it over the course of 4 weeks and had I think a week of quarantine before that. So they were indeed missing their families by the time they got their letter that we disparaged a couple of weeks ago. So this was somewhat of a long haul.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to be creative. You really don't get a sense
of that watching, I don't think.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think it's hard to be creative on demand like that. Like,
yes.
I'm sure, I feel like they do get a heads up on these things. Like they have some preparation time. I mean, not for something they sprang on them like that procrasti-craft, but in the time they have to come up with all of these ideas and execute them all, it just seems like they must have some knowledge beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is the first season of this still available someplace? I'd be interested to compare the amount of actual making that gets done in the course of the hour between season 1 and season 3, because I feel like it's less.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
Well, anyway. You might be able to watch it on demand on cable. Yeah. Because it's an NBC show. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Maybe it's on Peacock. Anyway. Well, all complaints aside, it's still fun to watch and enjoyable. And, if you're doing something else at the same time, if you are yourself engaged in creative endeavor,
crafting,
it sort of flows over you and you don't have to feel like you're going to miss an important line.
Right. An important pun or like filler piece of comedy from Nick and Amy. Exactly.
And that's what Rewind is for. So, yeah. Infinitely more satisfying, however, than the other thing we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, you ready?
Sure. Let's get it over with.
All right, so Veronica Mars, as you said, ended with a bang and a whimper.
Just the most unsatisfying thing possible on so many levels.
Yeah.
But it's done now. I don't think it's going to be coming back. I think a stake has been put through its heart. So...
yeah.
It was just such a giant obscenity to the fans. It was a giant fork you to the fans, to use Kristen Bell's next, series' lingo.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's bad enough that you're going to kill off a character that means a lot to people and a relationship that means a lot to people. But they took a title... The title of the episode was what? Years?
Continents Bloodshed.
That comes from a speech Logan made to Veronica, and I think the second season, because it was the graduation. No, it was the alternate prom or something like that. That was sort of when he was at his peak of beautiful damage. He's swilling from a bottle of champagne, and he's obviously longing for her, and he's saying that he thinks their relationship is going to be epic and, and she's sort of freaking out. And it's like, I remembered that scene as being very moving. And to borrow it for this episode, which ends their relationship in a extremely arbitrary way with none of the sort of swoop and angst of that scene. To bring that back and rub it in fans' faces as you give them the thing they didn't want.
Right.
It's just mean. And these are people who paid for your bleeping movie. You asked them for money, and because they love these characters, they gave you money so you could make a movie. And because of that movie, you got another season, and this is what you did with it.
Right.
Oh my goodness. What an incredible act of Assholery. Can I say that? Just, what the heck? Now, I mean, I was like looking over tweets, from Veronica Mars hashtag just to see if anybody was still complaining. And of course they are. And some people are like, it's a noir, it's a mystery, you shouldn't be so invested in the love story. What's the matter with you? But they wanted us to be. They insisted that we be.
Sure, yeah.
They, and even this season, one whole recurring storyline of this season is Logan proposing to Veronica. And so it's like, you deliberately did it to be cruel. It's just, I don't get it. And some people were saying that they were doing it to set up another season. Obviously, with Maddie as like the part of the business.
Yeah.
But that so many people were so ticked off, Hulu has just never moved on it. And if you're doing that, hey, give us money for a movie. Hey, we're going to give you a season. And hey, we're going to take away everything you like about it and then expect you to keep watching it. Just, I'm usually sympathetic to creators. You know what? I stuck with Lost and I've defended them. I thought the ending was fine. People were mad. But this crosses the line from, hey, we're going to do our own creative thing to, hey, we're going to make you so upset. Have I mentioned they paid for a movie? These people gave you money. Stop it. What are you doing?
The whole movie and, in some respects, the whole fourth season were fan service, right? I mean, they were supposed to be.
Well, this was, the movie was...
The movie was.
Blatant fan service. And it should have been because the fans bought it. Right. They paid for it. But... this season was like fan disservice. It's like they felt dirty for taking the fans' money and making a movie that they liked, and so they had to do something that would just tick everybody off. Right. Which, get over yourselves, honestly.
Right. How could you, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah, really. The fact that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote some of these, and I think maybe he was a producer or something.
Yeah, he was listed as like co-producer.
But, if you wanted to say, hey, Veronica and Logan can never be happy, I disagree, but okay. But you could have ended it. Yeah. There's so many different ways you could have done that. They could have broken up again. Logan could have gone off on a mission and never came back. He could have, you didn't have to do this whole, hey, they're going to get married thing, yay. And then just so arbitrarily. Yeah. There's fans on actually that YouTube video that this title came from saying, don't watch the last 5 minutes. Just imagine that it never happened. Yeah, exactly. And I saw somebody else tweet something about, Logan, just before the explosion, his special forces people came and took him away to go for a top secret mission. So while Veronica thinks she's dead, he's not really dead. Right. If that helps you move forward in life, excellent. You know, the old soap opera adage is, if you didn't see a body, if you didn't see it go into the ground, that person is not dead. Right. So probably they could figure out some way, but it doesn't matter because they did this. Right. And it was stupid, and it was arbitrary, and there was no beauty or tragedy to it except just for the fact that, oops, he's dead, bye. Yeah. And there's so many better ways you could have done it. Right? Right. And also, at the same time, having Keith just be like, oh, actually, I'm fine. Yes. This whole season that magic wand. Yeah, this whole season has been, oh, he has some kind of brain damage. He's, it's left over from the car accident, all this stuff. And then, oh, actually, I just was on too many meds. Like, that was such a cop-out and such a weird, such a throwaway, Yes. And, in second place to my disappointment over the whole Logan and Veronica thing, I mean, in a far distant second place, because that is so outrageous and annoying. They couldn't let Clyde and Keith have a bromance. Come on. Yes. Come on. You just will not give the people what they want. Yeah.
And
it was so disappointing. And Clyde seemed genuinely hurt. And
yeah.
I mean, he went on to have his successful business with, I guess that's supposed to be the woman that he asked them to look up for him.
That stole his money, allegedly, who probably just was hiding it for him and keeping it till he got out of jail.
I feel you, man, when you say when you get to a certain age, it's hard to find a friend.
Yeah.
And it may a new friend. And
I agree. Yeah. Don't be all up on your high horse, Keith.
That could have been just a little ray of sunshine tossed in there. Mm-hmm. How much would it hurt?
Yes.
And then also, Maddie witnesses the beheading of Dick Casablancas.
Right.
An event that I think none of us is sad about or regrets or feels particularly tragic. But still, I would imagine being fairly close to it and witnessing it firsthand, and also knowing that you're in a house alone with guys who cut heads off people.
Yeah.
Might be a little traumatic for a young woman. Mm-hmm. And yet, she seems to be just fine. Now, Veronica has been hardened by circumstance, and if it was her, I could see her being okay with it. But we're not led to believe that Maddie has had extraordinary tragedy in her life before this. We haven't heard before,
except for
her dad being blown
dad.
up.
Right.
Yes,
but
traumatic,
that's so recent.
But we have Veronica had a lot going on when we met her. Mm-hmm. She had a lot of trauma.
Yeah,
and she continued to have a lot of trauma. And at some point, you just shut down.
Right.
I think Maddie could be a little freaked out, honestly.
Oh, for sure. And she hasn't told anyone. She's completely, keeping that to herself.
And she seems just, that was a thing I saw. Okay, what's next? Let me look at these pizza receipts.
And I really was afraid that they were going to see her. There's glass everywhere. I mean, she's standing in the room watching this happen. All it takes is one split second of them turning their face toward where she was. And she's going to be next because they're not going to let a witness live.
It was like setting up such scary tension to have her in the house and then nothing. I just think the writers profoundly did not care about this season of television. I also still would have liked to have one last scene between Veronica and Weevil in which she says, geez, I'm sorry I was such a horrible person to you for this entire season. Thank you for saving my life.
Yeah.
I guess we just imagine it.
And,
service it for ourselves.
Right. And while they went ahead and rehabilitated Dick, then they just took him away and never showed him again.
Yes.
Hey, you made us like him again. You made us think that he was a friendly, good guy. And, whoops, he's gone. He probably got blown up in one of the many bombings.
Logan mentioned that he told him that they were getting married. But he didn't show up at the courthouse.
Yeah, well, he wasn't there. Yeah, exactly. He's Logan's
Ryan
only
Hanson's
friend.
I guess, yeah. It was weird. Just so much. And I don't quite follow the bomb thing because I thought there was not going to be a bomb at the high school. And then Jake Kane would have been, Veronica Mars, you're always screwing up things in my life. And Principal Clemens would have been. It was nice to see him again.
Yeah.
I
really had a lot of
there. But then later on, she's reinterpreting the clues and realizing that it's the bomb in the car. So what was the bomb in the high school just a freebie? Or did the limerick refer to both? Or it was a misdirect so she wouldn't realize she was going to get...
Yeah.
Needlessly complex. And this whole, it's this pizza guy. No, wait, it's that pizza guy. No, wait, it's this pizza guy.
Yeah.
Not that I was sad that Don met an untimely end because he was
obnoxious,
a frightful jerk, but still.
Yeah.
So it was Penn after all. And he's
I had so much trouble following all of that. And also buying the fact that he could just leave his backpack in their car and nobody would notice or care. He's being taken into custody. His stuff is important.
It was complex without being compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Which has not always been the case. Usually it's both. Never saw Nicole again. Bye.
No.
Nice to see you. No. So long. Your place is now a car dealership.
Yeah.
And then Mary McDonnell drops from the sky for 2 scenes for no particular reason.
Yeah, the therapist. She played the therapist.
Is that?
Yes, it was.
Why would she take this job?
Yeah.
Everything's slow, Mary. I'm so sorry. Why are you here playing this role that could be played by anybody? And, Parker. Hey, Parker. The ghost of bad relationships past. Coming to just bring a note of regret, I guess.
Well, I guess the whole point
was... to make us think that at the last minute, Logan's not going to show up.
Right.
I hate these people who put this show together so much. And it would be bad enough if it wasn't for the fact that, as I may have mentioned, your fans paid for a movie. They're like Veronica Mars and Weevil, They're just being mean.
Yeah.
You've done all this stuff for me, but I hate you and I'm going to do something that's going to make you upset. And even, if they're just going to go for it and kill somebody off, it was such an afterthought. It's like, oh, wait, there was one more thing we were going to do this season. What was it? Oh, I know. Boom.
Right.
Oh, gosh. They're awful. They're really awful. And my sympathies go out to all the fans whose hearts were broken by this.
Yeah.
I knew going into this season because the cries and wails of anguish rose up on the internet.
Yes.
And were hard to overlook at the time that it originally aired. So,
yeah.
If they were going to end with this, they could have had such a better arc leading up to it.
Right.
Because happy, healthy Logan, I guess his happiness and healthiness, I don't know if it makes his death more tragic or less, because at least he got his life together before he went, but he's kind of boring. Wasn't a lot of doomed tragedy to that relationship this season until the last,
right.
1 second at the end.
Except for Veronica just refusing to,
right.
engage with.
But he was just sort of copacetic with that too, He's just kind of zen.
Yes.
Thanks to Mary McDonnell, apparently.
Right.
An excellent therapist who saves voicemails just in case they need to be passed on to the next kid.
Yeah, a year later.
And it wasn't even that good. They couldn't give him one last bit of really swoopy, dramatic, romantic writing.
Yeah, the voicemail that he left previously was better.
Yeah.
The one where he was going on his mission and he left her a message.
Definitely. So. He was not at the top of his game. As, looking over the entire arc of this program that we have watched, I kind of think it peaked at the end of season 1. That episode with Harry Hamlin was so genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
And so cathartic and so, oh my gosh, I think it's him. Oh, he's in the car!
Yeah.
That was thrilling.
Yes.
And then diminishing returns since then.
I would agree.
Yeah. Well,
we did it.
We did it. And we will come back at some point when Veronica Mars Investigations wraps all their podcasts up. They're milking these last few.
Yeah, and they're behind us. So we will come back to that.
Right.
But we decided for next week, we are going to flash back to, sort of in honor of they didn't do it really in this season, but the first season of Veronica Mars, the good one, was all full of flashbacks, right?
That's right. Yes. So we are flashing back to a movie that I have seen in the past and also hoping for a spell to wipe away all the terribleness of this season we just watched.
Exactly. So we're going to watch the movie Practical Magic, which can be found streaming in various places, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, something else, right? Anyway, we're going to watch that, and we will also continue with Making It, Season 3, Episode 6.
Yes.
And that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terry.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.